The use of marijuana between people aged 12 to 17 is very common, and there are many reasons why teenagers believe using it is not harmful. Marijuana comes from the cannabis plant. This plant contains over 400 chemicals, including the mind-altering substance THC. It is absorbed into the bloodstream and acts on the brain, flooding the receptors with dopamine, producing the high effect. Cannabis is illegal in every state and territory in Australia, yet the risks are still unclear to many young Australians. Marijuana is dried leaves, flowers or stems from the hemp plant, and is also known as pot, weed, hash or dope. Hash and hash oil also come from the cannabis plant and usually have a stronger potency. Marijuana can be smoked in blunts, bongs or joints, mixed in with food or brewed as tea. The severity of the effects of cannabis depend on a few different factors. The signs and symptoms when using marijuana include an increased heart rate, bloodshot or glassy eyes, a dry mouth, increased appetite, paranoia, hallucinations, altered sense of time, delusions, and slow reflexes. A small proportion of people can become dependent on marijuana, similar to the chance of becoming dependent on alcohol. Withdrawal symptoms can occur when quitting, and cravings are difficult to overcome. Australian Drug Federation stats show that nearly 15% of teenagers between 12 and 17 have tried cannabis. It is the most commonly used illicit drug among young people in Australia. So is it really harming us young Australians? Yes. Certain parts of the brain are particularly vulnerable during adolescence, and marijuana use affects the receptors in many of these. The frontal cortex is the part of the brain that forms our judgment and decision making, and is affected by marijuana use. The ability to make safe choices are reduced and behavioural difficulties are often observed. This commonly leads to unsafe behaviours, including driving under the influence, criminal behaviours, and immature sexual activity that could lead to unplanned pregnancy. Marijuana impacts our learning and memory. Studies have shown significant decreases in IQ points after frequent marijuana use, and users are left at an academic disadvantage. Cannabis influences our attention and ability to think clearly and reflects problem studying, learning new things, and recalling events. Coordination and balance is highly impacted by marijuana as it affects the cerebellum. This can severely disadvantage young athletes and video game players. The use of cannabis from a young age leads to impaired emotional development, and users are more likely to suffer from mental health problems, an already persistent problem in youth. High levels of cannabis use are related to educational outcomes, lower income, greater welfare dependence and unemployment, and lower relationship and life satisfaction. All of these social, academic, and financial disadvantages reflect one clear warning: marijuana is not worth it.